Jim Harbaugh just won a national championship and used to coach the 49ers. Do you know him? What's your impression of him, and what do you admire about him as a head coach?
Man, did you just sneak in like 6 questions there?
Yeah.
That was very branch-like of you. Now I got to know John a little bit better than Jim, just because I've gotten an interview with John a couple times and seen him at the owners meetings and got to have a pretty good relationship with him. That's been great. Jim, I've talked on the phone a couple times. I mean, he hired a few people that worked for me earlier in my career, so I got to connect with him in that way. And we've talked a few times here over the years, just with college stuff and us scouting guys that cross paths. And I've always had a huge amount of respect for all the Harbaughs, the way they carry themselves, the way they are as football coaches. I loved Jim when he was a player. Like, it was so cool to watch him with the Colts. That was like the time I really remember him with the Colts, especially that Hail Mary to beat Pittsburgh. That, well, I think it was caught, but they landed on the 1-yard line. So I've always been a huge fan, and that was real cool to watch last night.
Kyle, you had a lot of your defensive backup in the game for an extended period of time. How does that make you feel? Like, how much confidence does it give you in the depth of where your defense is at?
Oh, I mean, I think that always helps to get guys that time. But I was also just so pumped to get guys that time and still to get them out healthy because, there's not a lot of positions that we don't rotate at. We can rotate really almost all our positions except for O-line, quarterback, linebacker, safety, and corner. So, I guess that is still a good amount. But, we play a lot of D linemen. We always are substituted in our nickel or base personnel. We've had a number of safeties go down throughout the year. It's great to play some guys on offense, especially the wideouts and stuff. And, we sub our backs in a lot, but it's great to get Sam some playing time because you never know what's going to happen. But, the way we practice, the way we kind of do everything, we like to feel we're always preparing our guys for that. And we got a good group of backups because they put a lot of pressure on themselves and really treat every week like they are one play away from starting. And that's what we expect from them because if they're not ready in that way and you do get that up and you're not ready, you rarely get it again.
How well has Logan Ryan played for you in the last couple of games? And if Jair is ready to go, does he go back into the starting lineup?
Yeah, Logan's been great. I mean, that's what we hoped for you. I mean, we knew how he was when he was playing, and you never know when you're getting a guy in the middle of the year, but we thought because of how thin we were getting at safety that we needed a guy with experience, and he's came in and filled his role great as a backup, great on special teams, just how he carries himself in the building. And then when Jair did get hurt and he went in, he's played like a starting caliber safety, which is he's done his whole career at a high level, not just safety, but nickel and corner. But for him to come here and do this with a little amount of time, I can't say enough good things about him. And we'll see how Jair is when he comes back, because Jair was playing at a real high level too before he got hurt. But I'm real happy with Logan's really helped us out in some tough situations.
Where are you roster-wise at cornerback, nickel cornerback after Jason Verrett's injury? I saw that you worked out Casey Hayward today.
Yes, well, losing one of our veterans. We're allowed 6 veterans on practice squad, and we like those veterans to be guys who can help us in a pinch. So losing JV was tough, so we wanted to make sure we at least got to get another corner in, and we want to take a look at some vets since that spot opened up.
Kyle, what's the process in a week like this of evaluating your potential opponents? Do you have one coach assigned to each potential opponent, or how does that work?
Every coach has their kind of area of expertise they're responsible for, starting with preparing their positions that they coach, but each guy has a little different area that they do, whether it's red zone, short yardage, goal line, backed up, second and long, third down, and then on defense you got the same thing. They break it into categories, so guys get a head start in their areas on that, and usually coordinators and stuff just look at teams as a whole. But we'll all be dabbling in that for this whole week. And we'll be dealing with our players when they're here in the mornings and helping them just get ready as good as we can, preparing them for our 2 practices. And then all the other time will just be us studying ourselves and us studying the 4 possible people we can play.
One more on Steve Wilks. Are the Chargers the only team that called to request an interview with him?
Officially, yes.
Have there been unofficial?
I just get a lot of phone calls and stuff, so I know there's a lot a lot more people injured and stuff, but you got to go through the process of formally requesting an interview, and I've only got that from the Chargers so far. All right, guys, injuries from the game. Cleve Farrell with his knee. He's going to miss a few weeks. It's possible to get him back at sometime in the playoffs. Taylor Hawkins with his wrist. He's going to have to get surgery. George Kittle, back spasms, doing much better. Greenlaw, Achilles tendonitis. We'll be smart with him this week. The injury updates from before the game. Armstead's looking good. We should get him back in practice this week. McCaffrey he's not going to practice this week with a calf, but we should get him back next week. Juan Jennings is out of the protocol. Feliciano with his back stay today. Jair with his knee, hope to get him back in practice this week also. Same with Gipp with his calf strain. Hope to get him back in practice. Ambry will be back in practice with his hand, and George Odom with his bicep, his window will open up this week. Go ahead, guys.
So, Kyle, how does this look to you in terms of the amount of healthy players you're going to have going into the playoffs?
I think it looks good. I think the one that, really our goal is to get out of that game healthy, and got some guys banged up, but I think Clee's the one that we're going to lose most likely for at least a game. After that, we didn't lose anyone else in the game, and it looks like we're getting most of these guys back that missed that game.
Do you have the option of bringing Drake Jackson off of IR? I know you guys already have 5 DNs on the active roster. What's the situation there?
I don't think he's healthy enough to come off yet. I don't think that's an option right now.
Is your approach to practice this week just kind of similar to what it was last week, as far as the emphasis on practicing, like you're playing? I know you guys played last week, but a lot of the veteran guys or Pro Bowl kind of guys didn't play much, but you really wanted to emphasize the practicing hard part.
Yes, and since no one's playing at all this week, we should get 2 really hard practices in. Last week I thought we had 1, but we'll get 2 hard ones in. Probably put the pads on one of them, and tomorrow we'll have those guys come up and work out, and probably go on the field a little bit, just throw the football around and stuff with some skill guys, and just have guys do some individual stuff, but not truly practice. So we'll get 2 real days in, kind of a little bit of everything tomorrow from an exercising standpoint, and we'll give them the weekend off.
Cal, you've got so many of your former assistants in the playoffs, from McDaniel and D'Amico and Slowick and Matt and Sean. Are you surprised by how well their teams are doing this year?
Not really. I mean, trying to think of all the people, but I feel like they all got they all got real good quarterbacks, and I think D'Amico and Bobby. I'm trying to think of all of those guys you just mentioned now. I know they overcame a lot of stuff, having the second pick in the draft last year, and so it's been huge by them. But when knowing those 2 coaches and then watching their quarterback, no, it doesn't surprise me at all.
And then having Matt and Sean potentially change your bracket. I think a lot of people looked at the bracket and said, oh, they'll just play the Philly-Tampa winner. I'm assuming you don't just see it that way going in.
No, I don't see it at all that way. 6 and 7 this year has just as good a chance as 1 through 5. So there's no difference to me in any of the seeds and the teams. I believe every one of them have a real good chance, and especially the ones you mentioned.
Armstead, that's like very encouraging news. And you mentioned it's been more than the foot than the knee. Has it been plantar fascia?
I just know it's his foot and his knee. I don't know how to pronounce that word you just did, but he's doing better. He looked good today, and that was the test, and that's why we're going to get him into practice Thursday, and hopefully it goes well, and we'll get him in a little bit Friday.
Had there been some level of concern this could continue to linger into the playoffs?
Oh, yeah, always. That's why we've been trying to give him as much rest as possible, and he would have gone last week if we needed that. and that's why we were really pumped that we were able to get that, so he didn't have to go last week. So just giving him this extra week, he's better right now than he was a week ago at this time. So, hopefully that extra week will give him enough to ease back into this and make him even better a week from now.
Kyle, how much have you worked with or talked to Steve Wilkes about just the timing of the interview with the Chargers and what your expectations for him during that time would be?
I actually just got to talk to him a little bit ago about some things, just because we had the day with the players and stuff, and I didn't see him yesterday, so we just went through a couple things. But there's not that much to talk about. I mean, it just works out so well when you do have the bye week. So now it's a great week for him, and I think this is the only week they're allowed to talk. I'm not exactly sure the rules anymore, but I think this is the only week they're allowed to talk. And when it comes to the teams that have the bye week, that was the only time that I talked when I was on the bye week. So it's really works out and makes it easy for both situations.
Kyle, with a team that's so stocked with veterans and goals that were so clearly delineated back in training camp, or probably dating back to the title game last year, how much are you just going to be, devising strategy and watching tape and then just letting sort of the veterans take care of motivating the team to get going?
The same as always. That's not all of us. We earn this time to sit and rest a little bit and try to get ourselves in the best position for next week, but resting doesn't always help you. You got to be ready, and the way you get ready is you don't just sit around and wait for the moment. You got to work for that moment. So there's a very fine line in all that. We're trying to balance it out as a team from my standpoint, just guys who can get healthy, trying to help them do that. I think we started that last week. Guys who can just get better, get smarter in certain areas. Like if we can find any of those spots, that's what we're trying to really focus on. And everybody just as an individual has got to make sure they kind of sharpen their sword and keep trying to get it to the best spot for really almost 2 weeks from now. And that's something that, I'll do it here and there, but there's no magical speech that just truly motivates people. It's trying to make sense that people understand what they need to do to perform. And sometimes when I don't reach guys in ways like that, hopefully there's a guy who works next to him who knows them in a different way, who can reach them that way. And that's why we have lots of people in this building who are leaders and really try to help each other, because it never can come from one person. If it comes from one person, you're in trouble.